Education that does not produce a change in your heart, movement in your feet, or money in your pocket is wasted information. Question is, am I going to get scammed? What is scammed? Schemy, crafter, aggressive, malicious. People want to steal credibility and money. When we understand what the biggest scams of all are, we don't have to be trusting in them. What is fractional reserve spending?
The gap between the very richest and the rest of us is getting bigger. Why? A common belief is that it's good for us all if a small group of people earn an enormous amount of money. The theory is that their wealth trickles down to the rest of us. But this is a myth. In reality, money is sucked up from all of us into the pockets of a very small group of people. How does this happen? One reason is the way that money is created. Right now, almost all of the money in our economy is created by banks when they make loans. Now, most people assume that when banks make loans, they're lending out someone else's savings. But they're not. Instead, when somebody takes out a loan, banks create new money electronically by typing numbers into their account. 97% of all the money in our economy is created in this way, as people take out loans from banks. The more loans people take, the more debt there is, and the more money there is. The shocking fact is, if nobody went into debt, there would be almost no money in the economy. Our economy depends on the electronic money created by banks. But because the money is created when people borrow, someone, somewhere, has to pay interest on every pound created. In effect, we are renting the money we need to run our economy from the banks. This means that in the UK alone, together we pay the banks £192 million in interest every single day. And because the debt is held mostly by the bottom 90% and wealth mostly by the top 10%, paying this interest transfers money from the bottom 90% of the population to the very top 10%. It sucks wealth and income from the rest of us up to the very lucky few. So as long as we have to rent the money we use from the banks that create it, we'll have to keep paying this huge interest bill, and the gap between the richest and the rest of us will keep increasing.
Well, I think if the people knew what the banking system is up to, as Henry Ford said, there would be a revolution tomorrow morning. The fact is, most people think that what a bank does is lend you money that someone else has put in the bank previously. But what a bank actually does, what a commercial bank does, is to create money from nothing and then lend it to you at interest. If I do that, if I manufacture money in my own home, it's called counterfeiting. If an accountant creates money out of nothing in the company accounts, it's called cooking the books. But if a bank does it, it's perfectly legal. And so long as you allow fraud to be legalized, then all kinds of problems are going to pop up in the economic system, which you can't do anything about.
Private banks create money out of nothing and lend it at interest. Now, that sounds absurd. When I teach sophomores, about money and banking and how banks, they never believe it. And so you have to go through it again and again. Yes, banks really do create money. They really do. Here's how it happens. And it's absurd, and they're right to doubt that could possibly be what's really going on. But it is.
Now, if the banking lobby is very strong, they're going to say, well, we don't want to change this system. We're making so much money out of it. What we have to do is try and convince the people that it's their fault, that their wage claims are too high, and that's why we're having lots of inflation, or people are speculating on housing. That's why house prices are going up. What they're not going to say is that this is happening because banks are creating money out of nothing and pumping it into the system, and that's why prices are going up.
But how is it that we've ended up with a system in which banks have the power to create money? Since 1971, when President Nixon took the United States off what was left of the gold standard, the world has operated under a system of money known as fiat. The dollar, the pound, the euro are all government fiat currencies. Fiat is a Latin word meaning let it be so. It is the law that this government currency be money. Indeed, without that legal enforcement and the fact that we must pay taxes with this money, that dollar bill or that computer digit that represents a dollar would be pretty much meaningless. Only the government has the power to issue fiat money, but banks can create it through lending. Over the last 40 years, since this system of fiat money became the global norm, the supply of money has grown exponentially. In fact, we've seen the greatest growth in the supply of money in history. But who benefits? Of course, those that have the power to issue money, governments and banks. Then, those companies and individuals that get this money early. They can spend it before the prices of the things they want to buy have risen to reflect the new money in circulation. In other words, they get services, products or assets cheap. But prices soon rise, so holders of assets such as houses or shares will then see gains without there necessarily being any improvements to the company or house in question. Often this can lead to speculative bubbles. But what about those at the bottom of the pyramid? Those on fixed wages or incomes, those who live in remote areas, or those with savings? By the time this newly created money has filtered down to them, the prices of the things they want to buy have increased. Their savings buy them less, however, and their wages remain largely unchanged. In some cases, they have to take on debt just to be able to afford the things they were previously able to buy, which means they have to go back to the banks. In reality, this process of creating money only redistributes wealth from the bottom to the top of the pyramid, and thus that ever-increasing gulf between rich and poor gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, when you get off the gold standard and you go into a fiat money currency, combined with a fractional reserve banking system, you end up compounding debt faster than you can ever possibly produce to support that debt. So eventually you're going to find yourself back into debt slavery. And that's what's happened in the U.S. For every dollar of GDP, for example, in the U.S., it also creates something like $5.50 worth of debt, because this is what happens when our economy flips over and basically capsizes. And of course, the government solution now to address all the problems is basically to create more debt.
You can never get enough of a currency that doesn't work. You can print it till kingdom comes, but you can't print wealth, and you can't get yourself out of debt by making more debt. If you could print wealth, Zimbabwe would be the largest, most prosperous country on the planet. We all know it doesn't work.
Of the money in the world today, 97% of it is debt. The French philosopher Voltaire once said, "All paper money eventually returns to its intrinsic value, zero."
Just to recap, the fractional reserve banking, 90% of money is created in loans. Here is 100 trillion Zimbabwe note that is needed to buy basic things. People would prefer US dollars because it can purchase more. But if your income and wealth are based on the strength of a currency, how will you protect yourself? Fiat currency is not backed by anything except our faith in the government printing it. And whenever the central bank prints more money, its current value will further lose its value. More and more people are needing money for food, clothing and shelter, and money changers are taking advantages of this. With person-to-person international money transfers from one currency to another, it's all eaten up in fees. It can be expensive, but cryptocurrency is 80% cheaper, faster. So what exactly is cryptocurrency? It's a digital currency in which encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of units of currency and verify the transfer of funds, operating independently of a central bank
Now, we don't have to understand how a digital camera or a digital TV works to enjoy the benefits of it. Nevertheless, here's a short YouTube.
Digital currency is a digital coin that you can send through the internet. This currency represents value that is not issued by a central bank or government, but is accepted by people as a means of payment for goods and services. Digital currencies have a number of advantages compared to other alternatives. Traditional banks charge fees to process monetary transactions. This increases the cost of everything you buy. They can even freeze your account and refuse to release your money if they choose to. But digital coins can be transferred or exchanged over the internet, from person to person, person to business, business to business, without going through a bank. This means lower fees, no account freezes, no arbitrary limits, and no restrictions on your account. Your digital coins can be stored in a digital wallet, cloud wallet, or cold storage, and can be traded on a digital currency exchange for other currencies, including the US dollar, the euro, and many others. What is mining? Digital currencies are generated all over the internet by anybody running an application called a digital currency miner. Mining requires a certain amount of work for each reward block of coins. This work is done by solving complex mathematical problems while simultaneously verifying transactions on the digital currency network. All this work is done by software running on specialized computer mining hardware. When two people exchange a digital coin over the internet, other people record and verify that transaction. When your mining hardware has computed and recorded transactions, and you are lucky enough to complete a block, you are rewarded for this work with new digital coins from the network. Why should you mine? Well, one reason is because digital currencies are still in their infancy. In fact, Bitcoin, the first digital currency, was just issued in 2009. Since that time, the value of Bitcoin has risen dramatically. As the difficulty of mining new Bitcoins increases, the value of the coins have also increased. Thousands of merchants, including Dell, Overstock.com, Tiger Direct, Newegg, and many more now accept Bitcoin as a direct method of payment for their goods and services. As more places accept digital currency, the value of that currency tends to increase. More and more people are mining digital currencies every day.
What is the history of Bitcoin? This is the value of it as of the 1st of the 4th, 2018. It's just climbed tremendously in the last 12 months. It's was worth now 19,000 Australian dollars. It had peaked and it's gone down a little, but it's in cycles. Bitcoin was born out of the collapse of the Lehman Brothers in September the 15th, 2008. A person or group of people under the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto published the first decentralized major cryptocurrency of worldwide value called Bitcoin. It's only supply and demand that determines the price of the currency, which is increasing as people recognize its usability. Digital currency can have a positive impact on the global economic climate, according to Bill Gates. At first, people were, and there's still some people saying, it's a Ponzi scheme or a scam, the government will shut it down. But the governments and authorities now accept cryptocurrency and see it as the future of money and legitimate. They ruled CFTC ruling defined Bitcoin and digital currencies as commodities on September the 17th, 2015, which has added to the increase in value as it's more and more accepted.
We want to introduce you to BTC Champ 2. It's a fully automatic upgrade and withdrawal system that solves the employee mentality of spending on things before upgrading with assets. This is also a solution to the problem of fiat money losing value and the price variations of bitcoins. The price goes down, that is good. It costs less to make a once-only lifetime manual donation of just 0.002 Bitcoin to a fellow member and leverage it into 25.6 Bitcoin over and over again. And if the price goes up, that's also good because the value increasing as well as leveraging. The levels with level 1 is the Bitcoin needed to upgrade to this level is just 0.002, and you start with nothing. That you pay that to the nominated member of your back office to get your referral link. And then you start referring. We can only have 2 on this level. If we don't have 2 on this level, the first 2 we introduce will pay the 0.002 to our back office. And so the maximum that we can receive on this level is 0.004. But we can't take it and spend it. The system will automatically upgrade us to the next level of 0.003. There's just enough profit to upgrade us to each level. And that will leave us 0.001 will be available for us to withdraw, minus the transfer charge to transfer that into our back office. I received 0.005. It was an extra 0.5 in admin fees to transfer it. So we're primed to go on level 2. So that's our incentive to those first 2 to help them introduce 2. And they get 2 each. We'll have 4 who have 2 on their first level. That's 4. Paying us the 4 times 0.003 is 0.012 into our back office, which is more than enough to cover the 0.01 upgrade to the next level, and that'll make available 0.002. So we're gradually getting into profit. On our level 3, when those 2 find 2 each, we'll have 8 people sitting on our level 3, but then they won't pay us. Those 8 people will have just started with the 0.002. So as they have 4 people on their level 2, they will then have enough to upgrade to pay us the 0.01. 8 times 0.01 is 0.08 in our back office, which is more than enough to upgrade the 0.065 to the next level. And now we're in profit. 0.015 is available for us to withdraw or to let it accumulate and grow in value. Level 4 is the 0.065 to upgrade. Nobody can, you can't force this. You have to wait until you've got 8 on your level 3 before you're upgraded to level 4. And then when you'll have 16 people sitting on your level 4 waiting to fill their level 3. As soon as their level 3 is filled, you'll have the 0.065 coming to you. 16 times is you'll have a whole Bitcoin now, which is more than enough to upgrade to the next level of 0.8 of a Bitcoin. People wouldn't normally do this voluntarily, but the system is geared to encourage you to be entrepreneurs and not just wage owners. You'll have 0.24 of a Bitcoin in your available to withdraw from your blockchain account. Level 5, you've already got to level 5 now, So it's every incentive to help people in your organisation have 16 on their level 4. And when those 16 get 2 each, you'll have 32 people potentially on your level 5. But those 32 people on level 5 will only pay our account 0.8 when they have 16 on their level 4. And that's why we continue to provide the leadership to our entire team so that no one is left behind. Pure mathematics tells us that 30 times 0.8 is 25.6 Bitcoin. Value received in your back office. And then we start to, again, following our sponsor. I've totaled up, and it's only 0.002 to start again. That's the total profit that you would have received after the upgrades. This chart shows you is proof that maths don't lie. The previous slide was proof that maths don't lie, but people do. They don't believe they have a solution to people's problems and are afraid of continuing to approach people and offer this solution to the problem people may not have realized that they have. Even though many fear the common pyramid structure in inverted commas, it really is the most basic and widely used organizational structure because it is so effective. Question is, are you already part of the hierarchical pyramid structure? Here's the corporate pyramid, with employees almost everyone on the bottom, with very little, if any, chance of getting anywhere near the top, because the CEO is often appointed outside of the pyramid and gets paid millions to keep an existing organisation in place. We don't work for BDC Champ. We want to work with you as we all become a Chief Leveraging Officer of our own People Helping People SOS System of Success team. Together, everybody accumulates money. Individuals grow, but teams explode. We start with that once-only manual gift to the person nominated in our back office to get a referral link. We start with nothing, and we fill left to right before we can go down. We fill the gaps if others have not yet done so. Deuteronomy 28 verse 12 says, "They will lend to many nations and borrow from none," was the promise given to God's people. And it goes on in the second part of verse 13. You will always be at the top, never at the bottom. That's why I love this program. So we're going to have 2 on our first level. If we fasten an assembly together using a nut and a bolt, over time the assembly will fall apart. The first nut that we lock into place is the 2 under us. But we just don't hope they're going to do it. We need to teach them to get 2 also. And that's the second nut that locks it all in place. When we have 2 on our second level, everyone's second level is their lock nut to hold their 2x5 force matrix in place and be in profit. So everyone starts with nothing. And they need to make sure that they have 2 on their first level and teach those 2 to get 2 each. That's the 4 on your second level. That's what everyone has to do. This person starting here, they've got 2, they've got to come down another level that we're not getting paid for. It's the lock nut that everyone needs to hold it in place. So when those 4 get 2, we'll have 8 on our third level. And those 8 people are just starting. They've got to build their own little lock nut under them. Same when they get 2, we'll have 16 on our fourth level. And when those 16 get 2 each, we'll have 32 on our 5th level, totaling 62. But there's 32 people there with nothing as yet. That's why we put this together. Your success is our success when you turn your 0.002 Bitcoin once only lifetime gift into 25.6 Bitcoin. The previous chart showed you how that's mathematically possible. And you can do it again and again as your team of personal enrollees follow you. The ones getting 16 on their 4th level faster will pay us the 0.08 faster. So this is for pure illustration purposes only. It's not going to fill up as numbers illustrated. That's just if there's no one there, those numbers have to be filled before you can upgrade to the next level. So we just keep using our personal referral link because when they fill their 2x5 matrix, they will follow us to our next available spot and start all over again, continuing to teach people this lock nut principle and not just sponsor people and hope they're going to do it, but supply the system that for others to follow with our System of Success team. Enjoy and have a lot of fun in sharing the good news. Dr. Breakthrough demonstrates breaking every barrier that seems to hinder us. Keyword is on seems. You can save yourself time, energy, money and stress with the systems in place. It's all systems go, with people helping people. Breakthrough is both gradual and sudden. We all love the sudden part, but we will never have it without the gradual part first. Winners are not people who never fail, but people who never quit. True financial freedom can only be achieved if you put the power of leverage to work for you. Then we can actually work less time, yet earn more money. Wouldn't you like to learn how to do that? Matthew 13:3-8, the Good News Bible. Jesus taught them many things by using stories. He said a farmer went out to scatter seed in a field. While the farmer was scattering the seed, some of it fell along the road and was eaten by birds. So birds steal some good seed. Other seeds fell on thin, rocky ground and quickly started growing because the soil wasn't very deep. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched and dried up because they did not have enough roots. Some other seeds fell where thorn bushes grew up and choked the plants. But a few seeds did fall on good ground where the plants produced 100 or 60 or 30 times as much as was scattered. So we need to prepare the soil and water it. Our mind is like the soil. It will produce whatever seeds are planted. So this story, the seeds were all good. We have to be careful we plant the right seeds in our mind. Jesus said in John 12, verse 24, I tell you the truth, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. So unless I learn to die to self, I'll be a lonely old man. The bottom line, the only way to improve our financial situation is to spend less on things that depreciate and more on assets, or earn more. Reciprocal income is a reciprocal arrangement we make when we exchange things or our knowledge, our skills, and our attitude for money. It's a balancing act. We put things on one side to see what they're worth, but we don't get paid for the hour. If that were true, we wouldn't have to go to work, would we? No, we get paid for the value that we put into the hour. and the marketplace determines how much value that hour or thing is worth. It is immediate for things, but we may have to wait a week, a fortnight, or a month for our time, depending on when payday is. It is predictable, but it's limited and it's time dependent, and it's never enough to spend more than we receive, like the banks encourage us to do with their plastic cards. There's only 168 hours in a week, and that limits our reciprocal income because we have to sleep and wash our clothes and things that we're not getting paid for. But if we only trade our time for money, we'll always have a visual emotional limit to both our time and our money. True? Chet and smile, most people will agree. See, the facts are, if we keep doing the same thing the same way over and over again under the same circumstances, it will produce the same set of results that will always remain constant. Is this situation the best choice for us? With self-effort alone, the fulcrum is in the middle, hoping for luck, labouring under conditions known, always trying to get the balance between time and money right. But control of the fulcrum is the key. A step in the wrong direction is better than staying on the spot all your life. Once you're moving forward, you can correct your course as you go. Your automatic guidance system cannot guide you while you're standing still. What do we really know? Well, we know how to spend money. We don't have to teach you how to do that, do we? The question is your cash flowing in the wrong direction? The Bible speaks about putting your money in a pocket with a hole in it. Second thing is we know how to spread the word about a good deal. We've just shown you how we can leverage that once only manual gift into 26.5 Bitcoin over and over again. Don't you think that's a good deal? And the third thing is we know how to work hard, not smart. So ask yourself, will the people you know, will we ourselves ever stop needing to improve our knowledge, our skills, and our attitude about what we spend our money on, so we can work together to shift the pivot point and eventually work less time, yet earn more money? And we know that you can't work 168 hours in a week. The previous slide showed that. But we can overcome this reciprocal time limit with a leveraged passive income. It's unlimited potential, but the results are delayed, as you can see from the graph. So our target has to be higher than our survival income needs. The SOS team is people helping people learn to communicate the good news about passive income growth. We can work together and teach two how to teach two to leverage our time and our money. Les Brown says people do not fail because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit the target. And if we aim at nothing, we'll hit it every time. True. And if we don't mind our own business, someone will hire us to mind theirs. We invite you not only to be an entrepreneur, but a kingdompreneur, working to build God's kingdom on earth before he comes back for those waiting for him. When I became a kingdompreneur, I learned that I no longer got paid per hour. Instead, I got paid per thought and per corresponding action. If I wanted a pay rise, I had to think wealthier thoughts. It was then that I learned the importance of positive thinking, personal development, and taking immediate, massive, consistent action. This is what entrepreneurs do. BDC Champ doesn't compete, but rather complements whatever other businesses you may be involved with. So when you learn, teach, and when you get, give, because it's more blessed to give than to receive. Are you the master of your business or job, or does your business, MasterCard, or just over broke income source master you? Matthew 6:24, the Amplified, reminds us, no one can serve two masters, for he will hate the one and serve the other, or he will stand by and be devoted to the one and despise and be against the other. You cannot serve God and mammon, that's deceitful riches, money, possessions, or whatever is trusted in. Matthew 6:32 reminds us, for after all these things do the Gentiles seek, for your heavenly Father knows that you have need of all these things. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So Jesus doesn't mind us having things, as long as things doesn't have us. Luke 12:32, don't be afraid, little flock, for your Father is delighted to give you the kingdom. People who derive their self-worth from their jobs or storefront business often mock anyone who raises the concept of improving our knowledge, skills and attitude to become more valuable to the marketplace and attract people to join our People Helping People System of Success team and seek God's kingdom first. Of course, if it is something as dubious as MLM or network marketing, it makes it easier for people to mock. After all, there are always plenty of MLM dropouts to back up their opinion that MLM doesn't work. But remember, where there are counterfeits, there is the genuine article. You may have had your focus on what commission you will be paid, instead of your commission to teach all nations, or have been trying to tell people what to do, or have been with the wrong company, working for the wrong person. That's why it's extremely important when you join an opportunity that you join the right team. Honesty, integrity and support ensure success for you and your members. 1 Thessalonians 4:11 reminds us, try your best to live quietly, to mind your own business and to work hard, just as we taught you to do. And if you've tried before and failed, that is good, because failure is the fertilizer for success. Developing our character to become the person we were meant to be, with purpose and direction in our life. We can choose to live, to work, to acquire more things from our own efforts, or live to receive from investment returns or other taxpayers, or we can work to live, learn and share that it is more blessed to give than receive, and how we can have more time and money to give to worthwhile causes. Which would you prefer?